Hello, welcome to the 41st episode of my podcast, Open Conversation. I'm your host, pro artist. Young Bella's my first name. Uh, and so, pro artist, my artist name. But just getting back to y'all, spending some time. Hope you guys are doing well. Um, I've just been working on a lot of things. Um, you know, quote unquote behind the scenes and just taking care of a bunch of things in recent time. But I'm happy to be back. Uh, doing content, giving the podcast, doing the podcast content, and today just gonna be talking NBA stuff as the season's coming up, um, and just maybe some slight other topics of interest that I wanted to talk about. That as always, when I just have, you know, I guess the inspiration to just speak about certain things, I speak on it. And yeah, so 2024, 2025 NBA season is, you know, underway. Uh, right now we are in the preseason. The actual season has not started. The regular season has not started yet. We are still in preseason. It's been some games going on. Seeing you guys get back at it, going up and down. It's always great. Um, very excited for this season, as I am at the start of every NBA season. Um, this is going to be the last year for the TNT crew, which is going to be kind of like a farewell tour type of thing for that, and just the season itself. A lot of guys on new teams as usual. NBA. It's always guys going to new places. And new look and teams looking different. Teams gotten better. Some teams gotten not as better. So um, it's gonna be a pretty good season. It's going to be a pretty good season. Um, hopefully, there's no injuries or nobody. I believe there's no player that's barring any serious injury, especially any like superstar players. Everybody's relatively healthy. I think maybe Kawhi might be having. That's it. Kawhi might be the only guy who got some little some surgery going on. But everybody else is relatively healthy. Ja Morant will be on the floor. Very excited to have him back on the court. LaMelo Ball, um, you know. So it's gonna be pretty exciting to see how this season turns out. Um, some of the guys who take elevated steps as players. Guys who put in the work in the off season. Now it's it shows during the season. Guys getting the opportunity who have been putting work, we get the opportunity to show that they're the player that they think they are. Stuff like that is going to be good. Teams, who gotten better. See how you know they do in the season. Teams is going to be some new teams that are going to be more competitive, and are going to have better seasons. So I am, like I said, I'm happy and I'm excited to see how this all turns out and plays out. You know what I'm saying? As I am a player of the game, I'm an even bigger fan of it. You know what I'm saying? So Gonna be watching as always, man. This season, NBA Finals preseason picks. So my preseason picks currently for the NBA Finals for this year is gonna be. I'm gonna have to go with the Boston Celtics versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's my preseason pick right now for NBA Finals. Barring any injuries, of course. Just they had to go head to head. All things fair and considered. I think that's my two teams that's gonna get to the NBA Finals. I think Boston, despite some of the adjustments made during the off season with certain teams, I still think they're the most formidable team. They got the most depth, talent, experience. Um, I still think that they're gonna beat everybody at the end of the day when it comes to the playoffs. Um, just barring any injury. Yeah. So I think got the Boston Celtics. Then I got after I said Oklahoma City Thunder. They had a very good year last year, 57-25, finished first in the NBA Western Conference. I think that they're gonna, still be in that top 1 to 3 seed of teams throughout the regular season. But I think this is a year, you get Chet with some more experience. You got Jalen Williams with more experience. Shea, even he knows what it's like to be an MVP candidate. I expect his game to remain the same, if not take another step. And I think Shea, Jalen Williams, Chet, Lou Dort, which is pretty much the nucleus of that team. I think they all take another step in their game, and I think they pull it off. I think they can they pull it off this year. They get to the promised land. They get to that NBA Finals, and we'll see how they perform. Um, as of right now, I would personally say I think the Boston Celtics would win that matchup. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be competitive. It's going to be like I said, a continuing of the changing of the guard. We've seen a change of the guard last year, with Boston Celtics and Dallas in the finals. I think that continues. And, that's how it's going to be, at least from my perspective. So that's just my own opinion. NBA MVP pick. So I think my top candidate right now is Shea. I think Shea's going to have an awesome year. I think it's going to be his year to win. We've seen what he did last year. You could say he got snubbed, but I think he gets it this year. Then I would say Zion. I think Zion, if he stays healthy, I think he's coming this year, really taking his health serious and stuff like that. I think Zion can be a guy who can be up there in the NBA, MVP votes. You can put Ja in there. I think Ja's gonna be, bounce back, show he's one of the top guys in the league. Um, you know, as Joel Embiid, he can stay healthy. And then your usuals, the Jokers and the Jason Tatum's, the LeBrons. They're always going to Steph Curry's. They're great. They're always going to be in that conversation, so to speak. But yeah, that's my pick. Shea, I got Shea bringing home the crown this year for NBA MVP. Surprise team for NBA Eastern/Western Conference. So in the Eastern Conference, I got the Brooklyn Nets as a team that I think is going to take a step this year. Um, they're going to really be competitive. They were relatively, competitive last year, but I think they take another step to be, in that top. Maybe at some point, 4 seed, 4 to 7. I think they can hover in that area. But they got some guys, and they got Bojan Bogdanovic, Nick Claxton, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cameron Johnson, Dennis Schroeder, Ben Simmons, Cam Thomas. I've been a big fan of Cam Thomas and Shake Milton. They got some pieces there that I think are formidable. But we gonna I don't think that it's formidable enough to be championship contending, but a good a team that gets in that 4 to 7 seed. You know what I'm saying? I think Brooklyn's gonna be a competitive team. They got some guys um, that can play on this team and can put some numbers up. So got Brooklyn Nets on the Eastern Conference. And the Western Conference, I got three teams. Three teams come to mind. I want to speak about with these three teams. Three teams that come to mind for me: Memphis Grizzlies. 2 seasons ago they had a really good year, and then injuries kind of plagued them towards the end of the season. Last year, the suspension of Ja Morant, which threw off their team. But obviously everything is, you know, Ja is back. I don't think there's no injury. Um, Jaren Jackson is Gucci. Desmond Bain. The nucleus is healthy. Smart is there. And then they got the rookie Zach Edey. I think is going to be a good contribution for their team. I think he's going to contribute in a lot of good ways. So they got a good team, and I think they're going to be a team to definitely be watch out for. I think they're going to be in that 3 to 6 seed throughout the season. I think they're going to be up there. Maybe they might be even higher, who knows? But I think they're going to be hovering between that 3 to 6 seed throughout the season. Then I want to talk about the Houston Rockets. Got Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith. They made another addition that it's escaping my mind at the moment. But they got a good nice little team. They got Steven Adams, Dylan Brooks, Jeff Green. They got the young fella Reed Shepard, who I like his game. He's he can do some things. I think he's gonna be a guy who's gonna be able to do some things off the bench. You got the Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore who can play, Jayshawn Tate who can play as well. I like Marquise Noel. He's an underrated guard. So they got some guys on that team. I think they're going to be competitive. I think they can, between that 6 to 8 seed, like 5 to 8, then that's going to kind of be where they compete at. Really, I say 6 to 10 seed. 6 to 10 seed. But we'll see. I think a big thing that's gonna be um, major for them is I think a big thing that's gonna be major for them is the play of Jalen Green. Is Jalen Green gonna kind of like uh, step up, take his game to another level? Is he gonna be like a 26 to 27 point scorer? Can he step his game to that level? I know he can hover around, the 20 to 22 range, something like close to that. But can he push that scoring to about 26 to 27 and chip in like 5 assists, 5 rebounds, or something like that? If he can do that, I think that could really make them real dangerous. But I think Jalen Green is going to be a big. He's going to play a big factor in the type of team they turn out to be. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans, the addition of DeJounte Murray, is healthy Zion, healthy Brandon Ingram, with healthy CJ McCollum. I think that's going to be a very tough team to beat. Very tough team to beat. Those are some good guys, and they played pretty decent last year. Um, had some injuries throughout the year between Zion and Brandon Ingram being in and out of the lineup. CJ McCollum being the primary guy. Now, if you add DeJounte and them being healthy, this is going to be a very competitive team. I think they can compete to being, at least the 1 seed to the 5 seed. If they want to, they can stay healthy. They can compete at that level. To me, I think the Pelicans have a chance to really make some noise in the Western Conference if they can just stay healthy. Um, they got a good chance to do some things, in my personal opinion. My thoughts on Julius Randle and Cat trade. So this was a pretty interesting trade. I think relatively fair because these are both all-star caliber level players, um, and so both play relatively the same position. And Julius Randle's a couple inches shorter than Cat, but they can shoot it, um, play a bit off the dribble. They kind of like I think Julius Randle's more of the point forward. Cat, not so much, but he can play on the perimeter like Julius Randle. Um, I think I think the New York Knicks got the better of the trade. I think Cat is going to be a better fit for what the Knicks got going on. I do think Cat's a slightly better player than Julius Randle, in my personal opinion. But like I said, it's still kind of like that same caliber of a player. Um, Cat is a knockdown shooter. He got some post work. He's athletic. He can run the floor. Um, always been a big fan of Cat. Um, and I think he's gonna with him. Him and Jalen Brunson run that pick and roll. He's gonna get a lot of open threes. Um, you know, cuts. Slides to the basket, dump offs. It's gonna be pretty deadly there. That pick and roll between them two because they're very, very good offensive players. Then you got Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Anunoby. Um, these guys on your team that you can kick out to. So it's going to be pretty deadly, pretty deadly. Then obviously Julius Randle going with Timberwolves. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be a good pickup for them. I'm not sure how effective it's going to be, but I think it's gonna be good for them. Julius Randle can play on the ball as well. He can bring it up. He's gonna have Julius Randle who can play on the ball. Obviously, Ant-Man, Rob Dillingham, and Mike Conley, who are gonna be probably their main players who play on the ball throughout the season. Um, you know, we'll see. I don't. The pick and roll game isn't going to be too nice with the Timberwolves. You know what I mean? Uh, it's just not going to be nowhere in comparison to what I believe Jalen Brunson and Cat would do. Um, but it was an okay uh, trade for the Timberwolves, but it was really good for the Knicks, though. Very good pickup for the Knicks and what they're trying to accomplish, what they're trying to do. Um, so yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So get a little, away from basketball talk, go into just some of my, general topics I wanted to talk about. So this is a saying that I've originally heard Nipsey say in an interview. Um, he said, like, Rick Ross told him the biggest business you will manage is your life. And I just wanted to, speak on that concept, that statement, that whole thing. And it's the absolute truth. You know what I'm saying? It's absolute fact of life. Like the biggest business you have to manage is your life. Not, obviously you can be, say you're an entrepreneur because you have essentially, if I had to be specific, some form of a system or service that provides you money, right? So you have to manage that and say, I'm managing my business. But, obviously, if you're somebody who's, in my opinion, uh, insightful person, or just, has some sense, you understand, like, that's not the only aspect of life in general. Like, there's more to life than just your business, that you have. Like, you have your life in general. Like, there's different aspects of your life. Like, you probably have a social life that you do have to, have some kind of management life of. You gotta have family life, um, your own personal, life with yourself. Relationship with yourself. You gotta manage. You gotta make sure you good, right? You have, just your life with your bills, your finances. There's like so many different aspects of life in general, and we have to manage it. If you're a parent, you gotta manage kids and this. So many things that you gotta manage. So it's really managing your whole life, everything considered about your life. Like that's the biggest thing you gotta manage. And I'm learning that, as I've gotten older and creating, you know, the life that I want to live for me and my future. Like um, it's different. You know, it's the biggest thing you gotta manage. You know what I'm saying? It's so many aspects you gotta take care of. So in my opinion, everybody um, is an entrepreneur because we make decisions and choices, you know, every day. You know, just all the principles that you would consider and say, well, you know, that you have to do as an entrepreneur in your quote unquote business. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that provides you money or whatever you got to do in every aspect of your life to some degree. So it's something you have to manage. You know what I'm saying? And so I, you know, you gotta approach your life in general. You know, the whole facet. You know, in my opinion, this is how I look at it, as a business. You know, and you know another aspect about just business in general. You know, everybody can have their own context of what business is and what it's not. You know, that's fine. But it's just always like when it comes to business, you know, people quote unquote want to make business into some sort of like non-emotional thing. Like, oh, it's just business. Really kind of essentially essentially, you know, in a indirect way, like it's non-emotion. It's, you know, there's no emotion to this. It's just quote unquote just all, you know, you know, I guess no feelings. It's just, you know, and I don't. That's just not how I do business. You know, me personally, I like to. Um, when it comes to me, how I choose to manage my business. I would want, you know, people to feel appreciated, and it is emotional. I want people to feel good, you know, feel good in my business. I want people to, you know, obviously take care of their, you know, responsibilities and duties that they have to do, but um, do it in an enjoying way. You know what I'm saying? I want you to enjoy yourself. It doesn't have to just be like strict, oh, it's just business and that. Like, we can do business and enjoy ourselves too. And I think that's, again, kind of like not how, you know, society kind of makes it out. You know, society wants to make work unenjoyable in a lot of cases. You know, the 9 to 5 life concept thing. That's a whole nother topic concept that I will talk about at some point. Concept of 9 to 5, and yeah, but um, you know, it's just like clock in, clock out. Most people, you know, you work jobs, you just want to, you know, get in, get out. You know what I'm saying? But it don't have to be that way. Like my business brands, like I want people to enjoy their time while they're there. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not, you know, you don't even want to go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or if you, you know, you're always looking forward to coming to work, showing up, doing the work that you know what I'm saying? Something that you want to do. Like, not somewhere it's like, oh man, I do this again. Like, you know, it should be enjoyable, right? Um, but yeah, like how you manage your life is the biggest business that you will have to manage. Fashion versus style. So something that, you know, I wanted to talk about, just essentially the difference between the two, because I don't think a lot of people understand the difference between fashion and style. So I'm gonna give what I believe is the difference between the two. My context of that, To me, I think fashion is geared towards being trendy. What's cool at the moment, what's contemporary at the forefront of the culture at the time being. What are most people doing? What's popular? How most people dressing and things of that nature. That's fashion to me, and that always changes because fashion is rooted in trends, you know, and you know what's popular. What's popular today can be not popular tomorrow. What's not popular today can be popular tomorrow. Example, FUBU. Dem John built you know that FUBU into an empire. Made generated millions of dollars. He's a guy that inspires me um, as an entrepreneur side or whatever. But you know, it was the most popping thing, at a point in time. I mean, didn't have FUBU. It's like, everybody had FUBU. Then that changed. There was like people started, insulting you if you had FUBU. You got FUBU, and to me that's like, again, that's trendy. It's not, you know, it's all in the what's popular at the time. You know what I'm saying? That can change today, tomorrow. You have situations where people will see something, you probably might see it, but it got like a Kanye or a Pharrell, guy, they would wear something that traditionally wasn't cool, or they didn't see anybody wearing it. And then, you know, people thought it was whack. And then next thing you know, everybody's doing it. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's another example, just fashion, right? You know, what's popular today cannot be popular tomorrow. What's not popular today, and what everybody's walking past, can be tomorrow the hottest thing on the block. So that's, to me, a good sense of what I believe fashion is. Now, style is timeless. Timelessness. Style is something not a lot of people have. Style is based on who you are uniquely to you, your perspective on, you know, your aesthetic of what looks good to you and not, and that's going to vary from people who have style. It's going to be distinct. Some people have their unique thing, right? So I'll give you an example. So like Bape, the gorilla camouflage, like that's unique. Like that's whether that's the trendy thing, the fashion trend thing with Bape, whether it's cool or not, that's their style. You know what I'm saying? Today, tomorrow, then it's always gonna be part of the identity of what Bape is, right? Or Supreme with the box logo. Like that's their style. That's the thing that they did that like makes them unique, that makes them part of what makes them supreme. Um, Louis Vuitton with their logo, that LV logo, and how they do it all over their whether it's their handbags or a garment or whatever. They have the how they do it all over. That's part of their aesthetic, their style, right? Whether people like it or not, that's their style. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, people today might say, "Oh well, Louis Vuitton's whack," but Louis Vuitton's still gonna come up with that LV, regardless. You know what I'm saying? And whether people do like it, and it's the most popping thing, Louis Vuitton's still gonna come with that LV. And so it just speaks, style. Like I said, is timeless. It's a forever thing. It's what who you are. It's your identity. It's what makes you unique, uh, in a sense. And so to me, that's what makes style. You have guys like ASAP Rocky, who I think has a good sense of style, regardless of what's trendy or what's popping or what's not, he's always going to have his own sense of style, or like a Kanye West or Pharrell Williams, or, a Currency. Like they, Currency's going to have his bait fit out, and with the J's, with the Jordan threes. Like that's his style. Like, um regardless of what's trendy, what's popping or not, right? It's part of it's just like your style. It's just essentially, like I said, what makes you unique as an individual, as a brand. Um, yeah, that style. Women not wanting good men. So very pay attention. I got the quotation marks, because you know this isn't necessarily true, but it's promoted. People saying this. This is maybe some truth for some people, but I don't think this is the truth for all women. Um, but I do want to speak on this opinion, if I had to say, um, because it's popular. The algorithm, and this is what the algorithm and social media's all wants to promote all the time. Like this concept of women not wanting good men and stuff like that. Um, for one, um, I just wanted to speak on the concept of wanting. Like people always say, well, oh, somebody doesn't want you, this, that, and the third. It's like, I know if I had to say generally in the context most people are speaking of, they're just speaking in terms of, oh, having sex with. But you can want somebody for different things, but generally that's what people are generally meaning. You know what I'm saying? If I had to say, but for one, or other thing I'm gonna say, yeah, like most people's perspective, if you had to say, or you know, they perspective on what a good man or a bad man is, comes from their upbringing, not what they saw as a child, in their upbringing, their household, whatever, people that they were around. That's gonna be people's examples, um, and what they saw consistently. Whether a man or a woman, what they saw. If a girl, if a woman consistently, her upbringing saw that her mother was getting beat by their father, then that's gonna be to her. She probably, because that's what was accepted in her household and what she knows and things of that nature. When she grows up, even if she may, see maybe was a celebrity or some friend of hers or something like that, they might have, a different example. Like, they're showing that they're loving and there's no physical abuse or something like that. She, because of her subconscious, she's still not going to really be quote unquote attracted to a guy who's like that. Naturally, she's gonna be more attracted to an abusive guy, even if she knows that the abusive guy isn't necessarily good for her, but that's what she's used to, and that's what she saw growing up with her upbringing, so she subconsciously is attracted to that, or she finds herself in situations with him rather than a guy who's not like that, you know, because she likely hasn't addressed certain quote unquote childhood traumas and stuff like that, that would, you know, make it to where she wouldn't want to mess with that type of example. You know what I'm saying? That might, she may be too programmed to that example to ever want to divert from it, or because she knows how to deal with it. Some women, when they get a quote unquote guy who may be loving and caring and all these type of things, that you would think ideally like, oh, she should want this guy, and he does this for her and this, that, and the third. He doesn't cheat, doesn't lie, all this other stuff. She may not, because like I said, she's so used to um, dealing with abusive men. That's the exact example she saw, and even just romantic, intimate relationships. However, that's what she was dealing with. She wouldn't really know how to deal with this guy who's quote unquote the good guy. He's not like that. He's not abusive. He's caring. He's loving and stuff like that. Because he's somewhat of an outlier, or just kind of quote unquote, as they will say, different. She wouldn't know how to deal with it. She doesn't have any experience with that. So a lot of times they end up sabotaging that type of relationship, on their own, whether they do it intentionally or unintentionally. They end up sabotaging that type of relationship, and ending up back in their cycle of abuse, um, of abusive relationships. This doesn't get, how I just explained, doesn't get explained. They just say, "Oh well, women just don't want good men," like with no real context of that. But that's usually the case. Now, if a female, grew up with upbringing examples of guys who were loving, caring, weren't abusive, things of that nature, when she goes out, she wants to go date and consider marriage and stuff like that. That's gonna be the example she's gonna like, because that's what she knows how to deal with that. She's used to that. She's used to that type of treatment. And if a guy who's abusive and stuff of that nature, she'll not be attracted. She will not want that, because that's not what she was used to. You know what I'm saying? So it goes both ways. Um, a lot of it is rooted in just the example that you have. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, usually the father, for his father, brothers, uncles, etc. You know, boyfriends of your mother or something like that. It's that's usually how, what it's rooted in. You know what I'm saying? Um, but you gotta understand, like, these, a lot of times, these women who get trapped in these cycles, they do understand that they have some issues a lot of times, and that they know that the type of, it's not good, but like I said, they just choose not to address certain traumas. So they stuck in the cycle. They stay stuck in that type of cycle, even though they know it's not quote unquote good for them. And this is where the whole concept of don't be captain, save, and all that, because like, you're actually a good guy, and you can provide value and etc. You can help improve this girl's life. I mean, if you're gonna decide to keep messing with her, she's gonna essentially mess your life up. She's gonna, downplay, degrade your life. And a lot of times, I said, they tend to sabotage these type of relationships, and she's gonna, in a lot of ways, try to make you feel like her. Um, she's gonna try to bring you down to her level and how she feels, and a lot of it's rooted in insecurity, but that's what she's gonna do so she can feel comfortable. And like I said, I've experienced it. I know people who have experienced what I'm exactly saying. So that's really what it be. And then on top of that, obviously social media is promoting this narrative and stuff like that, where it's just like women just don't want good men. They don't want to have relationships with good men. Good guys who do good by women are just bad guys, and the guys who do the wrong things are the good guys, and with no real explanation for anything. That's just the narrative that's just promoted with no context at all. So again, like I said, it just a lot of it is just rooted in upbringing. This is stuff I had to learn because a lot of times, when I was young, I didn't understand. It's like, how can you clearly see what's right, or a guy who's clearly, showing he's interested, he's doing the right things, he's showing up for you, and you not really, want to deal with this guy. You don't want to, build nothing with him. Like, what? That's dumb. Till I had to, I learned like, oh, okay, a lot of this is rooted in childhood trauma and upbringing and the examples you saw and things of that nature. Because some of these women, they'll see you doing, opening up car doors and giving them flowers and paying for this and doing this, that, and then they think you're weird. They think you're like an odd guy. Like, they think that you come from Mars, you come from Pluto, like you not from this earth. Trust me, I've experienced it, firsthand. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of other guys who, know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's just how it is for some women. Not all of them, but some women, that's the case. And a lot of women, they'll tell you exactly. They know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's just how it is. You got to get to, and one of the main things that people always feel to, and I had to again learn over time is getting to know people. And most people, they get in, trying to get in relationships, whatever, with people is just, about trying to hook up and not really trying to get to know the person that you're trying to hook up with or whatever, and you find this stuff out way after the fact, after y'all done had a couple kids and things of that nature. It's like you don't really try to get to know her at all. You know what I'm saying? Or know him, and vice versa. And everything I've said applies in vice versa when it comes to men and the men that they choose to, have relationships and stuff like that. It's rooted in a lot of ways in your upbringing, things of that nature. Um, and again, like I said, it's the challenging thing that comes with most people is the what most people call, the internal work or focusing on yourself and blah 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 blah. It's really just addressing certain childhood traumas and reprogramming yourself and understanding like, oh wow, this was actually wrong. I shouldn't like this, doing this isn't I shouldn't be doing this. Like, just because I seen my uncle or my brother or my father, dad, or my mother like do certain things, that doesn't mean I should just do it. You know what I'm saying? That comes with the, the what most people call healing and all that, reprogramming. Just like learning and understand like certain things if you want to. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do what you want to do, you know what I mean? Do you. I really don't care. But, it comes with, you know, just seeing and understanding certain things like, oh, I shouldn't be beating women. I shouldn't be, verbally uh, abusing a man. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't try to degrade a man. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't, you know, do things to make my woman feel bad about, like, you know, just because that was the example I saw, that doesn't necessarily mean I should do that. You know what I'm saying? And again, that comes with some reflecting, some reprogramming, you know. So yeah. So yeah, man, that's the end of this episode, man. Thank y'all for watching and listening. Hope y'all learned some things, apply some things that I said to y'all lives, because this is what this podcast is for and about, to get information that you can use for your life and just hear my perspective on things. So y'all have a good one. See y'all till next time.